as soon as someone hints at not taking accountability, your reaction can be, I'm Dr. V. Boykin, a former single mom, stripper, felon, now doctor, keynote speaker, and author of Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone. Women know what's needed. I help marginalized communities achieve a more equitable personal and professional experience. Setting boundaries is important. The other skill that is probably just as important is the skill of apologizing, especially when you meet it, and especially when it is thoughtful, it is relevant, and it acknowledges the hurt that you've caused. And why do I bring this up? I'll tell you why. I don't know about you, but I grew up with a particular person in my family that just never took accountability and never apologized. They could say the most outlandish things, and if you ever brought it up to them, they either didn't remember, remembered it differently, or would just flat out deny it, right? So, oh, I would never say that. I don't even remember saying that. Well, are you sure you weren't the one that said it? Meanwhile, you're spinning around like in a rinse cycle. You may be interacting with similar people. It also happens in the workplace. I never said that. I would never do that. I didn't accuse her of that. I did not get that task complete. So for people that grew up with individuals that didn't take accountability, that can make you supercharged in the workplace. And as soon as someone hints at not taking accountability, your reaction can be epic. And it doesn't serve you well. Number one, it doesn't build consensus. Number two, it's very confrontational. Number three, it calls people out. And when people are called out instead of called into conversations, they tend to not join them, shut down, or literally depart the area. So, what is key and when should you apologize? And also, how? So, what's key in apology is number one, you understand what you're apologizing for, and it's not some blanket, wishy washy, I'm sorry you felt that way. Folks, it's not an apology. Number two is what does an apology need to include? Well, definitely, like I said, it needs to include the specifics, but it actually needs to include some accountability and responsibility on your part. You may not be the main reason an apology is needed. You may be apology adjacent, but that does not absolve you from also having a responsibility as well as the right to apologize to someone. And the best apologies are when you don't know if they'll be accepted. It's probably when they feel the most scary and probably when they're needed the most. In the workplace, you don't need to apologize for things you didn't do. I'm not talking about maybe you know her, the woman that's always starting the sentence with, I'm sorry. Or when someone asks them the question, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that well. That's not necessarily true. I'm talking about the apologies when maybe you were in a meeting and you didn't stand up for someone, or you let a comment slide and you saw the hurt, despair, disenfranchisement on your coworker's face and you said nothing. That's going to be a hard apology to give because that apology will probably come in private when the offense was probably committed in public. It may seem disingenuous because you didn't take action then. And you may find yourself in the future over indexing and apologizing or standing up or doing something more than you normally would need to. That's part of growth and development. What I will say is if you're truly sorry, you should say you're sorry. If you made a mistake, you should say you made a mistake. And if they ask, and if they're open to it, you can give some context to it, but you can't explain it away. You have to take ownership. If you committed the offense, if you committed the oversight, if you stole the idea, whatever it is, you have to be able to say, look, I didn't make the best choice here. Going back, I would make a different choice. It might look like this, and it would look like that because of the impact to you and the team, you and the project deadline, the more additional work and responsibility you had to take on. Whatever it is, you need to say it. You can accept apologies and you can give apologies for fractional parts of events without saying this whole thing is mine if it's not yours. So, as you sit around the family tables or the living rooms or enter into the rooms that might be uncomfortable because apologies are owed to you, I would suggest that if you have a part that you can apologize for, not for them, but for you, right? That you do those right things, you take those right actions. And if there's a situation where you don't need to apologize because you didn't have a part in it, don't do it. Focus on being true to yourself. Focus on delivering the best and fullest version of you that you can. Focus on acknowledging when you have harmed someone, setting boundaries when they've harmed you, and moving forward in a way that brings the most peace to your life, right? Between stimulus and response, there's that tiny area you control, and that area has apologies, that area has forgiveness, that area has right action, that area has thoughtfulness and empathy. So thanks so much. If you liked or learned from this content, please subscribe or comment below and be part of spreading the word and helping my channel grow.